Hey, Community Baptist Church, this is Mason here, just coming to you with something that God's kind of just laid on my heart, and hopefully it's a blessing to you. Um, in the current climate that we live in, it's so volatile. It's hate filled, not love oriented, and I kind of just wanted to come to you today and just kind of encourage you in a way that is also going to challenge you. So what God has kind of laid on my heart was John 13 at the Lord's Supper. And I want to read one verse before we even get into this, okay? It says in verse 2, it says, during supper, the devil, having already put into the heart of Judas Iscariot, the son of Simon, to betray him, Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he had come forth from God and was going back to God, got up from supper and laid aside his garments, and taking a towel, he girded himself. All right, so now we're setting the table. So this is where Christ is sitting with the disciples, and they're breaking bread, and he is already foretelling what is about to happen, and that is that Jesus is going to lay down his life. He's going to be crucified. But even at this precise moment, Judas had already had it and purposed it in his heart, because Satan had already done that he was going to be the one to betray him. And yet, what Jesus does next is a task or something that I'm not sure I would have done. I mean, I just can't say that I would have done what Christ did, because Jesus knew who was going to betray him. I mean, he was 100% man, 100% God, and his foreknowledge, he knew who it was. And yet he gets down on his hands and his knees and he washes the feet of the disciples, even Judas. He knew Judas was going to betray him, and he washed his feet anyway. He knew Judas was going to betray him, and he fed him anyway. He knew Judas was going to betray him, and he gave him drink. And I start to think to myself, okay, well, Mason, how would you react? And I want you to ask yourself the exact same question. If you knew the person that you had walked through life with was going to betray you, would you wash their feet? You know, and I think back to Chris's message on Sunday. He gave what dying to self looks like. And he said one quote that really stood out to me. He says, when your good is evil spoken of, when your wishes are crossed, your advice disregarded, your opinion ridiculed, and you refuse to let anger in your heart or even defend yourself, but take it all in patient, loving silence. Jesus knew. He even knew so much, he even said, it would have been better for the Son of Man had this person not been born. And yet, he still washed his feet. And so now my question for you, and as I challenge you this week, who is it in your life that is hard to love? Or who is it in your life who has done you wrong? You know, I'm challenging you to love them, and love them in such a way that the gospel is present. The gospel is known. Jesus Christ crucified, rose again. Make that known in your actions. Because here's the truth, is our world isn't going to get any better. As Chris often makes it known, we're on a sinking ship and we're throwing life rafts. As Christians, that's what we should be doing. But here's the thing. Loving people through their mess, and loving people through their sin, and loving people even if they had done wrong to you, is what Christ wants his followers to do. And we are supposed to mimic Christ in how we act and how we respond. And Jesus gives us a perfect example of what that looks like. And so today I encourage you, not literally to wash people's feet, unless that's what God has laid on your heart. I mean, if he does, do it. But figuratively wash people's feet. Because it is such a beautiful picture when you see the church of Jesus Christ being the hands and feet here on earth. We're not building our kingdom here. No. We are going to see into full fruition what the gospel can do later on. And so I encourage you this week to love your enemies and love them well, so that they see something so different in you that they eventually ask and they repay you with the same love that Christ has given you. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great, great week.